Hi, everyone. This happened over the end of the summer in my hometown, a little city in central Mexico. First of all, 2 nights before this happened, my city got hit by really strong winds. We hadn't seen anything like it before. The wind tore up some trees, billboards, fences, and in my house, it tore up a plastic dome we had in the middle of our roof. It was a hard night because we had a literal hole in the middle of the house and it was raining. We had to cover it up with a giant tent while also throwing out buckets of water off the lower floor and making sure nothing important got wet. After having spent the next day repairing and cleaning everything, my parents decided to relax for the weekend by going to eat at one of our favorite places. So we were in this restaurant, and it was clear that it also got hit hard by the winds. The restaurant is basically a giant terrace, so it's pretty much outdoors inside the city. Upon entering, I noticed the owner on the floor next to the bar, fixing some stuff. He was wearing working clothes and was full of grease and stuff, so if you didn't know him already, you would think he was a worker in the restaurant. He's pretty chill and kind, always greets regulars and goes from table to table asking if everything is okay. The place is like casual fancy and one of the best in the city. This is when the entitled man shows up. While we were eating, there was a blackout because workers of the electrical company were fixing a damaged power line nearby, so the TVs and the music went off. And this Kevin started whistling and screaming for the restaurant staff to do something. Then the owner approached him and said that they would fire up their backup generator and that please he needs to be quiet in the meantime because this was no place to be causing a scene. Kevin went ballistic because he thought a worker was shushing him. So you know the usual. He hit the owner with the classic, "Do you know who I am?" He was yelling and telling him that he knew the owner and that he was going to get him fired and the like, that he wanted to speak to the manager because he was paying a lot for such a bad service. Obviously, him knowing the owner was a blatant lie because he was in front of him just with working clothes, and Kevin was probably trying to show off because in his table there was another man and 2 visibly embarrassed women. The whole restaurant went quiet because most of the customers are regulars. My city is a popular vacation spot, so this is like a hidden restaurant that only locals know. I always saw the owner as a gentle giant because he's so huge and pretty cool, but he got as red as a tomato and started yelling at the guy. I've never seen him like that. I'm roughly translating what the owner said. His choice of words were, "Interesting, Spanish is such a beautiful language to curse at someone in." He told Kevin that the place was his restaurant and Kevin was not welcome anymore, that he please picked up his companions and got the heck out of there. The owner told him that he didn't care one bit who he was and that he didn't want his money, he just wanted him gone. Kevin was curled up in his seat being yelled at by the huge man. He stood up after that and quickly went to the exit while yelling "screw you" when he was at a safe distance. When it was all over, the owner apologized to everyone in the restaurant and offered some free drinks and snacks. Like I said, he's a pretty cool guy. By the way, we were without electricity for like 5 minutes, so nothing that needed that whole drama. When I was in 10th grade, I got into refereeing football for a little league in town. I got hired by a random booster club mom, and she tells me they pay us in cash out of the snack cart money. The fancy part of town selling Voss and such, but hey, no problem, I was 16 getting $120 cash every Saturday sounds nice. So the owner of the league, we'll call him D from here, was a generally nice guy and had a son on a team. D was the guy living all of his failed childhood through his 9-year-old kid. The season was going great, except when I had to referee his games. He would get mad at any call involving his son, no matter what happened. If his kid was on the line and went off to the side, we were expected not to call it. Well, I like to make things as fair as possible for kids, so I would always call it. This would set him off and he would come running from the sidelines, yelling at me. I tried to talk to him multiple times, but his reply was always the same. It's my league, so it's my rules, so I moved on and just kept to myself. The season was winding down and his kids' team happened to make it into the championship game. The head coaches got to choose one referee each. D chose Doe. Doe is cool. I like Doe. And the other coach chose me. D calls me midweek telling me there was going to be an NFL rep there to do the coin toss and evaluate the league for a sponsorship. Annoyed with his mid-game disruptions, I decided to have some petty revenge and try to get mad in front of the rep. On the day of the game, I show up and act just like always. I got everything set up, then called out the captains. D comes out with his son and the other coach and his captain. We got everything started, and at first I let the little things go. I feel giddy, but I know I have to let the kid win a bit so he really feels the burn. The score was tied with 4 minutes left when I saw an opportunity to strike. It was 4th down on their own 15. DA's son was at quarterback, and instead of taking the snap from center, he said hike and picked up the ball. Normally, I would let this go, but it was DA's kid, so I tossed my flag. Expecting a 5-10-yard run, you could imagine I was a bit surprised when he took it all the way for an 85-yard TD. Everyone on their sidelines goes crazy, including D. When the other coach starts yelling, "Hold up flag," there's a flag. I call a meeting in the middle of the field and explain what happened. D wasn't having it. He was staying surprisingly calm, and he said I could either declare it a TD or take off my uniform. So screw it, I quit. I'm waiting for the booster lady to pay me when she gets a call and says, "D told me not to pay you." I waited till D was available and had it out with him when he made it clear that I was paid under the table and that I could basically go get screwed. Time for some serious revenge. I talked to that NFL rep on the way out and told him what's going on, and he seemed a little angry. Then I went ahead and gave a call to the IRS and gave them all the information I had. I forgot about it for a few weeks. Then I got a call from Doe asking if I was the one that called him in, and he explained that D had 6 other businesses that had a lot of under-table dealings. He ends the call by saying, "That was pretty screwed up. It was just a little league football game. It didn't have to end like this. D had a multi-million-dollar house, 2 nice cars, and a loving family, and $120 screwed him out of this all." First, some background. I'm David, and Tony is my younger brother. I was the street smarts, fast talker, great bullcrapper type kid. The sheriff knew my mother's number by heart. Tony is the well-behaved, respectable kid that went on to get great grades and go to college. Well, Tony ended up creating his own company. They do networking and servers and stuff like that. Me, I became the GSM of 7 different dealerships. My job is basically the shot caller. Well, I don't so much call the shots more as review the decisions my managers make. Now, of course, with Tony being my brother and our families are close-knit, his wife, my wife, his children, my children are always together. With this, Tony and I bounce ideas off each other all the time and are pretty in tune with each other's business. Heck, I helped fund the early days of Tony's company and a major shareholder. So I do have my influence, which I never really use, because I don't know anything about his business, how it works, etc. Now, Tony was in the final stages of bidding on a massive contract. Basically, as he explained it, the contract was his, and he was searching internally for the team to run this contract, and he needed a project manager. He already had the pay plan for this position put together, and whoever got it would make a ton of money, and there was quite a bit of competition internally for this position, especially among 2 prime individuals. Maurice and Alan both equally qualified, however. My brother was leaning towards Maurice since he was with my brother for 2 years more than Alan. Now, I didn't actually know either one of them, so I gave my brother my general advice, which was if both can do the job and only one can have it. Give it to the guy who has been with you the longest. Therefore, Maurice was to get the position. My brother said he'd mull it over the weekend and make the big announcement that Friday. Now, with me being in this business as long as I have, I've grown to develop relationships with many different employers, and many of them I have special pricing deals with them. Tony Company, of course, receives a special pricing deal. All his employees have to do is show their badge, and we apply a discount to their order since they work for Tony. Now, of course, we do have some models which we have disqualified from this incentive for various reasons. One of them is the Ford Raptor, which is a hot seller and a major profit generator for us. So it's excluded. Well, I did my rounds to the different dealers I manage and had stopped by a Ford store which was having some employee issues, as is fairly common in this industry, and putting together a plan with the store manager when a salesperson popped in and said he needed the store manager to handle a difficult customer. I, of course, enjoy getting involved in selling cars. It's a welcome relief, so I inquired about the deal. Turns out it was Maurice, who works for my brother's company, wanting a Ford Raptor. I told the store manager to stay put and I'll handle this. So I walk out to greet Maurice. Maurice is insulting my dealership, my employees, and our practices. I pride ourselves on being above board on everything, so this really got me so mad. Nevertheless, Maurice is a potential customer and should be treated with respect. I sit down with Maurice and qualify him to see what's up. Maurice is under the impression that this Friday he's going to get a major promotion and has decided he's going to treat himself to a nice brand new toy. Brand new Ford Raptor. Thankfully, the car experts have given us the exact model in options and color that Maurice wants, which, of course, is the reason why Maurice is at my store and not wanting to leave my store without the truck. However, he isn't understanding his coupon does not qualify for the Ford Raptor and that he should be happy we are only charging him sticker on a truck that traditionally sells for the above sticker. I, of course, try to explain this to Maurice, who calls me a scumbag. This is, of course, the short version, and Maurice is being a general douche. I do some quick thinking, look up to Maurice and say, if I honor the pricing agreement that you believe I should honor, will you purchase today? Maurice happily responds yes. So I have finance start up the paperwork, and several times throughout this process, I overhear Maurice insulting my employees, dealership, and reputation. This is something I do not tolerate. In my opinion, the most important asset which I have are my employees. They generate the revenue which pays my bills. However, I was going to let this one slide till the very end. Finally, Maurice is done with finance. The vehicle is funded and he's ready for delivery. I tell the operations manager I'll personally handle this delivery, and he calls me over as soon as the walk-around is ready. So I begin showing Maurice all the options and features that the Ford Raptor offers. He's like a kid in a candy store, so happy with his purchase. He still thinks we are scumbags, though. Finally, we are done. The paperwork is signed. Maurice is sitting in his brand new truck, and I'm standing outside of it when I saw, hey, Tony is the guy that will be promoting you on Friday, right? Yeah. Do you know him? Sure do. He's my younger brother. Really? Yup. In fact, many years ago, when Tony was just a small startup, I convinced the owner of this dealership to finance his company. I am confident without our support, Tony would have gone bankrupt in the early days of the dot-com bubble. I didn't know. I'm so sorry for her. Don't worry about it. You go ahead and enjoy your new truck now. Poor boy wanted to cry. I was grinning from ear to ear. I got into my office, called in the salesperson, his manager, and even finance, who this guy also treated badly, and called up my younger brother, Tony. Alan really enjoyed his new promotion and used the bonus to pay off his house and put a massive down payment on his first rental property.